Hi, and welcome to Holocaust Museum Houston. My name is Amy Frake, and I am the Youth Programs Coordinator here at the museum. To celebrate the opening of the exhibit Mandela Struggle for Freedom, we are speaking with organizations from around Houston that are working to protect human rights and serve our community. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Austin Davis Ruiz of the Montrose Center. So Austin, thank you so much for joining us. I'm very excited to learn more about the Montrose Center and the important work that you're doing within our community.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Amy. I very much look forward to speaking with you today.
So first off, can you tell us a little bit about the Montrose Center? So what's your organization's mission?
Yeah, so we were founded over 40 years ago in Houston, and our mission is to empower primarily LGBTQ individuals and their families to live healthier and more fulfilling lives. And so the way in which we do that, we have a really broad range of services that we provide to the community. Our main service that we provide is counseling and therapy. That's what we've been known for. That's what we've kind of started off doing as part-time, and then eventually got some full-time staff, and we have since grown. Now we offer more programs and services such as education and outreach. We do testing in Houston for people that may not know their HIV status. We also have a wide variety of support groups. Primarily our Hatch Youth Support Group is kind of our biggest and most well-known. That's a drop-in service that we have for LGBTQ youth ages 13 to 22. And we also have a Hatch Junior that's for younger individuals as well. We also have a senior program as well called SPRY, Seniors Preparing for Rainbow Years, where we operated a diner. We would do social programs for them, and we're actually about to finish building our first senior center. It's going to be our second building. It's called the Law Harrington Senior Living Center, and it's actually going to be the first LGBTQ affirming affordable housing for seniors in the South. And so we'll be moving in 300 plus seniors in there. We'll be providing subsidized rent. They'll have a legacy community health clinic there as well to take care of their health needs. So we've kind of grown from this really small organization that started up doing, just kind of part-time counseling and therapy to really providing, many programs and services for the LGBTQ plus community, not just LGBTQ individuals, but also allies or really anybody that's in need of our critical programs and services.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know about the senior center. That's really fantastic. And I'm sure that that's been a lot of work, but that'll make such an impact.
Yeah, and because most LGBTQ seniors, I mean, this is really the first generation of seniors that we are seeing coming into their seniorhood. A lot of them have lost friends during the AIDS crisis. A lot of them are living in social isolation and have been pushed out of the city just because rents have been raised within inner Houston, and they've been pushed out of the neighborhood, Montrose. And so, yeah, it'll be really great to be able to bring some of those seniors back into Houston. It's going to be just a 5-minute drive from the Montrose Center where we're at right now, so we'll be super close, and they'll definitely be able to come over here and share community with other LGBTQ seniors.
That's amazing. Well, can you also tell us a little bit about why your human rights issue is important?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, the thing to know about LGBTQ individuals is we've been fighting for our rights for a very long time. A lot of people see Stonewall as kind of the turning point in our movement, but we had many, many encounters before then of trying to rise up and simply, get equal treatment under the law. And so, although Stonewall was kind of the beginning point, we're still doing that every day. Currently, I mean, back in 2015, we saw the success with marriage equality at the Supreme Court. Just recently, this past June, right before Pride, we saw the Supreme Court also hand down a decision saying that you cannot discriminate against LGBTQ individuals in the workplace, which is great. And it's such progress for our movement. But then you also look at other areas like healthcare, where we don't have those same protections, and where many of our trans individuals, face discrimination and can't get quality access to healthcare simply because they don't have culturally competent nurses or doctors or medical staff that will affirm their identity and give them the quality care that they need. Even going further, we don't have federal protections for housing. We can be kicked out simply because of being who we are. We don't have protections for education, credit, the laundry list goes on, even adopting children that are in need of a home. There are many LGBTQ families out there that want to be able to bring children into their home, but unfortunately it's such a struggle to adopt. And, if they want to do via surrogacy, that's even more expensive. So it's still an ongoing issue, and we see so many small steps in the right direction, but it's kind of a piecemeal. I mean, even just looking at things like right now during COVID-19, a lot of LGBTQ individuals want to be able to give blood, and that's great. Some of them have, contracted COVID and they have antibodies that can be used for research, but unfortunately, gay men that are sexually active, that are having sex with other gay men, there's still a 3-month deferral period for them to be able to donate blood. Even if they're in, perfectly monogamous relationships and there is no risk of HIV for them, we screen and test blood, even if, all these things are true, they're still unable to give blood simply because they are a sexually active gay man. And so we're still seeing a lot of discrimination today in the US. But even looking at a more worldwide lens, I mean, there's still 68 countries worldwide where homosexuality is criminalized. There's maybe a handful of countries that actually still have the death penalty as something that can happen to LGBTQ individuals. And so really looking at across the world, we see a lot of it is regional. A lot of it is in countries that are in Africa, countries that are in the Middle East, or countries that are in Southeast Asia, where we see these very starch laws against homosexuality. And so while there's a lot of progress that's been made worldwide, and I guess more culturally progressive, I'll put it, countries, there's still a lot of work to be done and a lot to do for the LGBTQ community at large, especially for refugees that are coming from these countries. I mean, they seek a refuge in the United States, and now we're seeing issues with that in Canada, and certainly the migrant crisis in Europe that was a couple of years back. We're seeing a lot of LGBTQ individuals simply just trying to exist and just being able to live their lives authentically. So we've made a lot of progress, but there's still a great amount of work that we can do.
Well, I'm glad that there are organizations like the Montrose Center out there that are helping to fight for these rights. So you mentioned COVID-19 a little bit. How has COVID-19 impacted the work that you're doing?
So we've definitely seen a lot of clients in need, having lost their jobs. They don't have stable income anymore. They've had to move into homes maybe back with their parents, or they're unable to go to school every day where they had that kind of lifeline to people, because maybe they're not out to their parents at home. Maybe they're youth that are now, going to school virtually at home, and they're in that hostile environment, and they're no longer able to get that escape every day. They're no longer able to connect with their peers and to have that kind of social safety net. So we're definitely seeing a lot more need for programs and services right now. And so we tried to quickly get everything up online as possible. We started doing teletherapy almost immediately. That way clients could still continue to see their counselors and their therapists and still get those sessions that they really need. We transitioned our Hatch Youth, our drop-in service, which normally was here at the Montrose Center, but unfortunately we had to close it. We transitioned that online too and try to get that up and running. And it's been great to have those programs and services. But the other thing is, again, like I mentioned, a lot of clients have lost their jobs and are out of work. And so we've done a really good job at fundraising for the community. We actually crossed the 1.5 million mark about a month and a half ago. And so we were able to get all those funds and secure them to directly give them to clients or to pay clients' bills that were in their name. So we were able to help them with rent assistance, with utilities. Sometimes we were able to get them grocery gift cards. And we actually have an emergency food pantry here that we started a drive for. And so people have just been donating and sending us all these Amazon boxes, all these food donations. And we've just been trying to push out to the community as best as we can. So we definitely have been a little bit busy over here at the center. But I think the biggest thing that we still wish that we could improve upon is really looking out for our senior population, because we have a diner here in the center that we would give 3 meals a day for seniors, and that was sometimes all that they would eat. And if they didn't come here, then they didn't eat for the day because they couldn't afford it or for whatever reason. And so we tried to shift to doing shelf-stable meal boxes once a week, but it's still not the same. And then even so, they would come here for the meal, but really what they came for was that sense of community, that sense of being with other LGBTQ seniors who had similar experiences, who also had been through the same kind of troubles and tribulations that they had gone through. And so we're trying to do our best to still kind of create that sense of community by scheduling weekly check-ins, by doing phone calls, but it's still not the same as being able to physically gather with all of their friends and their peers. So we've definitely had to modify our services. We're still open for services. We're trying to be as safe as possible. We're still accepting new clients. So if people are in need of counseling or therapy, they can certainly come to us and we'll do our best to get them into services as soon as possible. And if they're in need of renter assistance or something, we can certainly help if we still have funds left to disperse. But that's kind of our biggest thing. Like, no matter what's going on right now with COVID, and although a lot of our space is actually closed to the public, we're still trying to do our best to give people the help that they need.
Well, wow, it sounds like you really have been busy, and I'm glad that you're still there to help support the community, because I know that it's been very difficult for many different people, and I understand there are particular challenges here as well. So if people hear this and they say, wow, that's amazing, what can I do to help? How can people get involved with the Montrose Center? How can they help?
Yeah, I think the first way is obviously if you're able in a place to donate, that's the best way that you can help us right now. We year round do fundraising for a lot of different initiatives. So we do fundraising specifically for our seniors and trying to do programs for them. We have a youth rapid rehousing program that we've actually seen an increased need for. So whenever we see LGBTQ youth that are kicked out of their homes, most likely because they came out to their parents as, you know, LGBTQ, we try and get them immediately into subsidized housing. And so we pay for 18 months of rent, we give them case management, we try and help them find steady employment, or we help them finish school and try and get them on a good track. And we really work with them to become successful and independent adults. And during this time, as more LGBTQ youth have been at home because of COVID, we've definitely seen an increased need and have seen a lot of LGBTQ youth become homeless simply because they've been at home and they had to, you know, be themselves and authentically come out to their parents, and they've been kicked out because of it. So that's another big initiative that we try and drive donations for. But aside from donations, we also have volunteer opportunities year round. Right now, a lot of our volunteer opportunities are definitely suspended because of COVID, because normally they're at in-person events. However, we do have a number of ways that people can support us electronically or virtually. So as I mentioned before, we have a COVID wish list that is on Amazon. And a lot of this is going to be food items that goes to our food pantry that we then send out to people in need. But we also have a number of PPE items on there as well for our outreach workers, because we want them to be safe when they're still going into communities and still doing testing or seeing clients, you know, in the Harris County Jail or wherever they might be going. So that's another way that people can support us, by donating things from that wish list as well. We do have some other volunteer opportunities on our Galaxy portal, and all of these can be found on the Montrose Center website. If you go to montrosecenter.org and click on volunteer, it'll have a link to our volunteer portal where you can see all of the opportunities there, and you can pick whichever one you want. As we start to phase back in-person events, which at this point we're not sure when that will be, probably early next year, here's hoping. But as we start to phase back in those in-person events or in-person volunteer opportunities, we'll definitely post them there on our Galaxy portal so people can stay up to date with whatever we're doing. But those are really the two biggest ways that people can help us out, by either donating monetarily to our causes or by donating those supplies or that food for our emergency food pantry.
And I hope that everyone will consider doing that, because, I mean, you've told us about all the amazing work that you're doing. So is there any other information that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Yeah, just like I said earlier, if you know of anybody that's in need of services, whether that's counseling and therapy, whether that's case management, you know, if they are an LGBTQ youth that needs, you know, community and support, or if they're seniors, just please reach out. Because at the end of the day, we might not be able to help them in that moment, but maybe we can connect them with somebody else that can help them, or we can put them on a wait list for something and try and get them into program services as soon as possible. A lot of people have called us and have messaged us or emailed us asking, like, are you open? We don't know. And that's the biggest thing we want people to know, that we're still here. We're still supporting the community at large. You don't have to be LGBTQ to access our services. We are accepting of anybody. And please know that financial barriers, we try and reduce those as much as possible. So although you may think that you don't have funds to access counseling or therapy or whatever it may be, know that we will try and work with you and try and find a way to get you the help that you need. So please just reach out and just ask, and we'll do our best to get you the help that you need.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for the incredible work that the Montrose Center is doing within our community and for taking the time to talk with us today. So remember, if you want to learn more about the Montrose Center, definitely visit their website at montrosecenter.org, or you can stop by Holocaust Museum Houston on Saturday, September 26th during our Human Rights Expo, and admission to the museum will be free all day. So Mandela Struggle for Freedom will be on view from September 11th, 2020 through January 3rd, 2021. And for information about Holocaust Museum Houston and upcoming events, please visit us at hmh.org. And also, please feel free to follow us on social media. You can follow Holocaust Museum Houston's Boniak Center at Boniak Center on Instagram and Twitter. So thank you again to Austin for joining us today, and thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you have a great day.